The Golfer Profiles tool for 2021 is one of my favorite updates to the website because there's just so much more data flowing into this tool than ever before. So I have Justin Thomas loaded in here. And of course, you can go through and choose any golfer that you like. Maybe you want to see what Abraham Answer is up to. But for our purposes, let's go back to Justin Thomas. Again, there's a search bar up here, so you can search for any golfer that you want. And let's look at JT. So on the left-hand side, and the top section is all going to be strokes gained, but the left-hand side is a career breakdown. And this is the season by season averages for each of the strokes gained categories over the course of these golfers' careers. So if you actually look up someone who has played a lot longer than Justin Thomas has, you'll see this list gets longer. And actually, Tiger didn't have enough rounds to qualify for scoring a lot of years. So if you look for someone like Phil, yeah, this gets really long here. It goes all the way down here. So you can see I have most of the career data in here. It goes back to essentially, no, it's not essentially, it is the entire shot link history since the start of 2004. All of the shot link data has been loaded into the system. So this is year by year, if they have enough rounds to qualify in each one of the statistics. And I like this for a lot of reasons. I like it because it gives you a clear picture of the type of golfer that each player actually is. Do they hit it well from tee to green? Are they a putting specialist? Are they only good in one category? And how have they been trending? I use this a lot for any season-long fantasy, any kind of best ball, maybe one and done stuff where you're trying to see if a guy is going to take the next step, what direction he's trending in. What you see with Justin Thomas is, absolutely elite ball striker over the course of his career, phenomenal from tee to green, excellent in strokes gained total. The thing that has held him back is the putter. Now, he's been better in 2021, but that's only 16 measured rounds. I would expect, based on the rest of his career, that this number in the strokes gained putting for 2021 is going to get closer down to 0. Now, if it doesn't, Justin Thomas is going to win a lot of events, but that's what I would expect from him. On the right-hand side, recent form. Last 8, 16, 32, and 64 rounds in terms of strokes gained total gives you an idea of how he's trending recently. So you can look at whichever time frame is most important to you and see how he stacks up against the rest of the field. And then the 2021 season ranks. Again, only 16 measured rounds for Justin Thomas at the time of recording this. So to see him be ranked 37th in putting, which is better than his 41st in approach, that's shocking. I don't think it's going to stay like that over the course of the season, but you're going to have your up-to-date current season ranks in that section as well. 2021 for me is a big push into fantasy data, loading in fantasy data into the database because it's a lot harder to compile. There's not as much available for it. So I'm trying to really be the authority in terms of fantasy data. And one of the places you're going to see that pop up is here on the golfer profile page. So on the right-hand side, these are very simple logs. All it's going to tell you is the date, the tournament that he played, his DraftKings salary, how many DraftKings points he scored, and then here's the big thing, his value. 8.77 times value. That means if you take Justin Thomas's $11,400 salary, you divide it by 1,000, and then you divide 100 by 11.4, he returned 8.77 times his value. It's just a way to kind of say, points per dollar. Did he return enough? Anytime a golfer of this high salary gets to 8-10%, that's good returns. If he was 7,500, eight times might not be worth it, but you get the picture here. And then what I have over here on the left is his average salary, his average DraftKings points, and his average value based on the time frame that you want. I have at least 2 years of fantasy data loaded into most of these tools. Sometimes I have 3 or 4, hopefully to continue to expand on that. And, I like to look at maybe the most recent year. So if you want to only look at, let's call it January of 2020, you can do that and give it a second. This will all update. It'll take a second. There you go. 11,445 was Justin Thomas's average salary in 2020. He scored on average 81.67 DraftKings points and provided 7.14 times value. Very easy for you to go through and see those numbers with the slider. Now getting deeper into that fantasy data in the next section. These are two brand new visualizations I've never released before, and I think that they're really interesting. On the left-hand side, this is what you could describe as a bell curve, a histogram, and it is really just a way to look at the finishes and the DraftKings points that each golfer is scoring. So the way that this reads, these numbers here, these data labels, the decimals, those are percentages. So this is 0.24. That's 24% of the time. 24% of the time, Justin Thomas's DraftKings points finish between 72 and 90. Another 22% of the time, they finish between 90 and 108. And then another 13% of the time, they finish between 108 and 126. So think about that. That is 46 plus 13, which is 59. 59% of the time, Justin Thomas scores 72 or more DraftKings points. That's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy consistent. You can see he does not have a lot of bust weeks where he scores very few points. And what you'll see is you'll see some guys who have a very even distribution where, 15% of the time they score in each one of these categories or each one of these tiers. Or you'll see guys who are more boom or bust who have two distinct kind of peaks here. They'll have a lot of finishes down in this range, and then they'll have a lot of finishes up in this range with kind of nothing in the middle. And the way that I use this is contest selection. If I want a safe player or a high upside player or even a boom or bust player, it's easier to visualize by looking at their profile and seeing where their finishes actually come in to play. And then on the right-hand side, this is also a new visualization and maybe a new stat for you. So I am going to try to lean into DraftKings points gained this season. That is, with strokes gained being essentially the best stat that we have, right? Comparing shots or rounds or portions of your game to the rest of the field is the best way to kind of do golf scoring. So DraftKings points gained is in that same vein. You take the average DraftKings points earned by every single player every single week, and if you've scored more than that, you've gained points. If you've scored less than that, you've lost points. Now, Justin Thomas routinely gains points on the field. So this is a bar chart where the green bar is the amount of DraftKings points that the player actually scored, and the blue one that's attached to it is how many points he gained on the field that week. So even in a bad week, when Justin Thomas only scored 54 points at the BMW Championship, he actually gained just about 8 on the field. That means the average that week was 46 DraftKings points, if I do the quick mental math correctly. But something like this, something like Mayakoba, where he scores 100 DraftKings points, that was 62 points better than the field average. So this is kind of a way to compare it. And I'll try to find somebody who's lost strokes. Let's think of who I can. Martin Laird was the first name that popped into my brain. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. Here we go. But you can see, only scoring 21 DraftKings points at the RSM Classic is losing 24 DraftKings points to the field. So you can see it'll drop below 0 when you've actually lost points to the field. So we can go back to Justin Thomas here. It's a much prettier picture. And we can scroll down. And then the final portion of this, very straight up, this is results-based. This is the date, the tournament, the course, what the par was, strokes, finish, and his score to par for literally should be every event. Every event going back 15 years to 2005. So you can click to see 2 different seasons, and then you can scroll down. You can say, maybe I only want to see Justin Thomas in 2013. There it is. 4 events in 2013. He wasn't even a professional yet. Let's go to 2015 and see those. This should be a lot more. There you go. So here are his results. I want to know what his best score to par was in 2015. Yeah, he won the CIMB Classic at 26 under. That'll do it. So it's a really cool way just to flip through all of the results. Again, good for both fantasy, good for season-long stuff, one and done, all of that. All available at your fingertips. 15 years worth of data if they have played that long. So that's the updated golfer's profile tool, and one that has probably 10 times more data flowing into it than any other year.